Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1378, and today's date is September 4th, 2017, and the title of the episode is De-Dollarization Begins, China Readies a Yuan-based crude oil. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the cryptocurrency market, it has been taking a beating, and we can see there's certain countries out there, and this is backed up by the central bank, because we know that they don't want this decentralization of the cryptocurrency market. And they want to be in control. This is why UBS right now, with many other banks and the central bank, this is why they're trying to control the situation with the blockchain technology. And we can see right now that the Kremlin is out there saying that they need some rules for cryptocurrency circulation. It should be discussed. We see China is out there right now, and they are talking about that the initial coin offerings, they're completely illegal. And even here in the United States, they want to control the initial coin offerings. They want to control Bitcoin. They want to control the whole blockchain, the whole cryptocurrency market. And they're trying to wrap all of this around regulations, which is going to be very difficult to do because, again, this is decentralized. It's not centralized in a certain country. And we can see at this point, it is very difficult for them to stop from what is happening, especially when you keep a lot of your currency offline in your offline wallet. And they're trying to figure out ways on how they can create regulation, how they can control this. This is why the banks, the central banks, this is why they're pushing their agenda and trying to, take control of the market. But this is going to be very difficult. And we can see as we're moving forward right now, we're going to hear a lot more of these stories because we're starting to realize there's a lot more people looking into this, or there's a lot more people saying, something, let me get into cryptocurrency. It's not widely known right now. People have heard of it, but they're really not into it right now. But as this grows, just like the internet, you're going to see the countries, the central banks, the powers that be, try to control this market. And this is something that we need to watch because we need to keep this separate and apart from the central banks, from the banking system. We need to keep this decentralized. We need to keep this in the hands of the people. And we can see as we move forward, they're going to try to take this away. We see here in the United States, the working class right now, they can't afford the American dream anymore, and we've known this for a very long time. Now, for millions of middle and working class Americans, the American dream, it's pretty much gone. And a lot of people are, just getting by. A lot of people can't afford anything. And from the Fed's latest survey on the well-being of the U.S. households, it has been revealed that nearly a quarter of Americans are unable to pay their monthly bills on time, and nearly half have less than $400 in the bank. And we can see right now there are certain cities where it is a lot easier to live in, and there is other cities where it is much more difficult and much more expensive to live in. But what we're seeing right now is that there's a lot of people out there that are struggling. Why are they struggling? We've been following this for a very long time. People have been losing their jobs. People lost their full-time jobs. People have to get the part-time, low-paying jobs, maybe one of those, maybe two of those. And we can see as time went on, they weren't making as much as they were. A lot of people lost their homes and they could never recover. And it's taking its toll right now. And when we look at this, we can see that the top 5 cities, if you want to know what those are, where it's a little bit easier to live, it's Fort Worth, Texas, Glendale, Arizona, Gilbert, Arizona, Mesa, Arizona, and the 5 worst cities are New York, San Francisco, Boston, and Washington. And we can see right now that as time goes on, it's going to get worse and worse because what happens in these areas where they're pumping up the bubbles and they're trying to make everything look like everything is fine, once this starts to come down, it's not going to matter what city you're in. I mean, it'll be a little bit better than the others, but it's going to hit the entire country. It's not just going to be one little tiny area. And what we've been watching, what we've been tracking, is that this entire system is imploding on itself. And we have been seeing a lot of indicators that have been showing us that we are in a recession already. And of course, the Fed, the government, the corporate media, they're not going to admit that we're in a recession. I believe it started already in 2016 because all the indicators that we've been looking at, everything that we've been tracking, it's pointing to a recession. And we can see that a lot of the trading systems, a lot of the payment systems, a lot of pretty much everything has been moving from the West to the East. And we know that China and Russia and many other countries, they've been basically bypassing the dollar. Now, something interesting just happened. The world's top oil importer, China, they are preparing to launch a crude oil futures contract denominated in Chinese yuan and convertible into gold. Now, potentially, this is going to create the most important Asian oil benchmark and allowing oil exporters to bypass the U.S. dollar. Yes, you heard this right. They're going to bypass the U.S. dollar. Now, the crude oil futures will be the first commodity contract in China open to foreign investment funds, trading houses, and oil firms. The circumvention of the U.S. dollar trade could allow oil exporters such as Russia, Iran, and many other countries to bypass U.S. sanctions by trading in the yuan. So, what does this mean? This means that everything that we talked about the yuan being in the basket of the SDRs, China accumulating gold, Russia accumulating gold, creating the Shanghai exchange, creating the payment systems, moving everything from the West to East, it is all coming true. And they keep adding to it. And as they add to it, what happens? Well, pretty soon, you don't need to trade in the dollar anymore. Countries will not need to hold on to the dollar. I mean, think about this for a second. If they're trading in the yuan and they create this futures contracts, and this goes even further, there's no reason to have the dollar anymore. And you know this is going to expand. You know it's going to continue on. You know that more countries are going to get involved in this. And if these countries say, you know something, we have other opportunities, we don't need to hold on to the dollar, let's get rid of the dollar in our reserves, let's send it back to the United States, let's get rid of our treasury bonds, we don't need them right now. This all floods back to the United States, which is going to be a complete disaster. And we can see right now, the powers that be, they don't want this to happen. Now remember, the yuan-denominated futures contract, it's not like they just came up with it yesterday. This contract has been in the works for years, and it's been delayed, and it looks like it's ready to be launched right now. So they've been working on this, and this has been planned because we've been looking at this, we've been reporting on this for quite a while. And of course, you know, the corporate media and everyone else, they're not reporting on this because they're pretending it doesn't exist. But it does exist, and it takes a certain period of time to create these things. And here we are already in 2017 going into 2018, and they're going to launch it. This is just another nail in the dollar's coffin. So when people talk about, oh no, the dollar's going to last forever, China's not doing anything, think about what China has been doing. Think about what Russia has been doing all of this time. Slowly but surely. No one's really looking at it. No one's really recognizing it. Yes, they hear things, but they've been creating the payment system. They've been creating their exchange systems. They've been dealing without the dollar. They are creating this future contract. They're setting up the Belt and Road. They've established bilateral trade agreements with many, many countries. More countries are coming on to the Belt and Road. And they're preparing to have a full-fledged trading operation. Who has the manufacturing? China. Who has the gold? China. So you can see what the central... And I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm saying the central bankers, they realize the dollar is doomed. They're moving on. And this is why they've been setting all of this up. This is why they've been moving everything to China. Because they knew the dollar only had a certain period of time. And they knew eventually what was going to happen is they were going to have to come off the dollar. Just like in the past, when it was the UK's turn, when it was Spain's turn, when it was France's turn. Each one of these countries had the reserve currency. Now we're coming off of this. The only reason they were able to keep it alive for so long because they hooked it to oil. But even with that, it's still going to end. It's still going to die. And this is what we're seeing right now. This is why everyone needs to be prepared and ready, because we're going to see hyperinflation at some point. Because as the dollars flood back to the United States, there's going to be more currency in circulation, and other countries are going to start using other currencies. And basically what's going to happen is the products here in the United States, you're going to need more of those dollars to purchase them. So here we are right now. We are on the cusp of countries saying, okay, let's go with China. They have the manufacturing, they have the gold, everything's set up. The dollar is dying. The United States has a lot of debt. The global community has a lot of debt. It's time to shift everything. And this is what we are seeing. So you better be ready. You better be prepared, because as you can see, it is headed our way. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.